Hi, welcome back. How's everyone doing today? We're back here, continuing our quest on this journey called the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Okay, yeah, you don't want to waste your time just watching me move my jaw around, do you? Like that, without saying anything. But before we get started, however, um, I want to say that good job getting it this far. Uh, yeah, this has been a journey already. And, oh man, it's just like, okay, yesterday I had, maybe I posted a video before, but I had a beautiful thought about numerology and all these different you put all these numerologies in together with what you would think that are the incarnations of Thoth, and then my hypothesis was that they would be all different numbers if you'd add up their names, like Buddha was 22, for example. Thoth was 8, which I considered always the infinite number, but I don't think that that's normal. So I don't know. Hermes was 33, but Hermes Kabubalis Savidiscus, or whatever his freaking name is, altogether was a 4. So it was 33, 8, and 8, and so yeah, so there is some hope, I think, in my hypothesis with that, but. We're not here for hypotheses, are we? Well, we kind of are. We kind of talking. And again, feel free to conversate with the screen and either just start yelling at the screen or whatever. It'd be fun. I mean, come on. It's all right. So I feel like I'm missing stuff. There's so many things I want to say, but I'm going to go in and get a little. I have been drinking a little bit, but. At the same time, but of course I do what I normally do, which is the power of getting into a good meditative state, which I guess I didn't meditate before I did this quite yet. I kind of did, but what I had was green, and what is green, and I also had, my ears are ringing right now, and which ears ringing are supposed to be something like supposed to be messages and stuff like that. But however, I was just listening to music, so I could go with the fact that I was listening to music. With these halls, okay, tablet 2 is the halls of Amate, which, I mean, I think it's probably going to say exactly what Amate is, but, and I have heard this before, so I am somewhat familiar, but I'm trying to look at this kind of in a new light, just take it for what it is and not think too much into it. But I think too much into it probably. So I mean, maybe that's the key actually, to think too much into it. If you're going to think too much into something, this is the thing to think too much on, or whatever gives you that spark of life. Which at this point, okay. So, all right. We're already 3.5 minutes in, and not even to beautiful. All right. Deep in Earth's heart lie the halls of Amate, far beneath the islands of sunken Atlantis. And I wonder there, just like why isn't it far beneath instead of like apostrophe neath, like far neath the islands? But there could be some kind of numerology thing going with it. I'm on a numerology kick right now, so Tesla always said, again, what did he say? Yeah, looking at the universe through vibration is the way to go, and probably numbers would be another way to go. Mathematics, yeah. So, yeah, anyone who disagrees can, go to the halls of Amate. When you're not ready, do it. I dare you. Yeah, you're not going to come back very effectively. And guess what? You're not going to be able to get in. You got to not without studying this thing. So to be able to have an easier time at least. Yeah. Okay. Deep in the earth's heart lie the halls of Amante, far neath the islands of sunken Atlantis. Huh. Halls of the dead and halls of the living, bathed in the fire of the infinite awe. So it's like a hall for the dead and a hall for the living. Basically with the, I consider, I don't know, the fire I consider the light, and the light I consider truth. So bathed in the truth of the infinite all. Like, I don't know, something like that. But I also had an understanding that the halls of Amante might be underneath the pyramids of Giza, but that would mean that Atlantis would have been right there. Could be. Maybe Atlantis was just an underground place. Could be. Yeah. Could be an underground place, and that's why we haven't seen it. But however, if you're flying above it, like, these towers and stuff, that means that they're probably outside. Unless it's deep within the Earth's core, like the journey of the center of the Earth, and then you can fly like a helicopter around that place. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Hall of the dead and halls of the living, bathed in fire of the infinite all. Far in a past time, lost in the space-time, the children of light look down on the world. Far in the past time, okay, lost in the space-time. So basically, not traceable. I don't know. The children of light, the children of truth, I consider, look down on the world. Or the children of knowledge, or the children, yeah. Seeing the children of men in their bondage, bound by the force that came from beyond, knew they that only by freedom from bondage could man ever rise from the earth to the sun. Now, that's an obvious, like, you don't literally want to go from, the earth to the sun. Unless you're Superman, which that would energize you. But I guess, you could be a Superman and go to the sun. No, I'm just kidding. But freedom from this consciousness, this bondage, this what you understand as, okay. Down they descended and created bodies. Oh, I got dry mouth. Who knew? Cotton mouth, or whatever you call it. So they made people, taking the semblance of men as their own. Semblance. What's semblance mean? Dang it. Resemblance? Taking the resemblance of men as their own. Taking the semblance of men as their own. Some kind of, I've heard slaves or something like that. No, I don't think so. Down they descended and created bodies, taking the semblance of men as their own. The masters of everything said, after their forming, we are they who were formed from the space dust, partaking of life from the infinite all, living in the world of children of men. Okay. Feel like I'm not giving this is new, Dave. Down they descended and created bodies. So they basically enveloped like actual human bodies, from my understanding. These people from, I guess, higher dimensions, the children of truth, like maybe if they really need help, then they come down and they help us, or something. But they do it through the energy. They're just they're light beings. They're, from my understanding. Okay. Living in the world as children of men, like and yet unlike the children of men. Their personalities were probably not exactly, if we were talking to them, yeah, okay, nah. How's everyone doing today? Then for a dwelling place, far neath the earth crust, blasted great spaces then by their power. So they freaking went spaces apart from the children of men. Well, yeah, like miles, like away from any kind of thing. Surround them by forces and power, shielded from harm, they the halls of the dead. So they're almost talking about like the center of the earth, but they're not saying like in, I don't know, but side by side then placed they other spaces, filled them with life and with light from above. Okay. Filled them with life. Now, I'm not trying to analyze this stuff. It's kind of obvious, but at the same time, like, I'm trying to think of other things. I have 12 minutes, okay. So higher beings did something. Like, they intervened, basically. Surrounded them by forces and power. Shielded from harm, they the halls of the dead. They were already dead. Okay. Side by side, placed they other spaces, filled them with life and with light from above. They kind of jump-started the earth, obviously. Because the earth was going crazy, builded they then the halls of Amate. Wow, they're talking about how they built the halls of Amate. Okay, so now I kind of understand that part. So surrounded them by forces and power, shielded from them, harmed they the halls of the dead. Cubs, what you doing, man? Okay. Life and with light from above. They filled it, builded they then the halls of Amate, that they might dwell eternally there, living with life to eternity's end. 32 were there of the children, sons of lights, who had come among men, seeking to free from the bondage of darkness. They're basically talking like sons of light. it kind of reminds me of like Jesus is the light, and that sounds like a weird freaking thing, but I don't mean it like that. But I feel like it gives it a hint of what Thoth's incarnations might be too. Like, they dwelled sons of lights who were among men. So these were obviously holy people, and they would probably be among us at all times. Like, there's always someone there seeking to free from the bondage of darkness, the bondage of lies, basically. That's how I consider that. Those who were bound by the force from beyond. Deep in the halls of life grew a flower, flaming, expanding, driving backward the night. Placed in the center, a ray of potence. Life-giving, light-giving, filling with power all who came near it. The ether or something like that, I think, or the what is it? Yeah, obviously. What's that biblical thing? Okay. I'll hold my fist hard so I try to remember. Okay. Indiana Jones, the Golden Crust, or no, you all know it. Okay. Seeking free those who were bound by the force from me. Expanding, driving backward the night. Placed in the center, a ray of potence. Obviously, like very life-giving, light-giving, filling with power came near it. Placed they around it thrones, 32, placed for each of the children of light. Two and 30. There's probably some kind of code in the 2 and 30 for the most part. Obviously. Placed around it thrones. I mean, we know we're talking about the golden thing. I can't look at it right now. So, life-giving, filling with, and something about if there's actually on a higher dimension or whatever, if everything is basically alive, then you would be able to see that even a fire would have some form of life or soul or something. I'm not really sure if that's true or not, but there would be some kind of life, and it would be light-giving. It would be filling with power who all came near it. Well, I don't know if, and they're of course talking about the Indiana Jones thing. How the Golden Arch, the Arch of the Covenant, the Ark of the Covenant, the Ark of the Covenant, Ark of the Coven, Ark of the Covenant. Okay, so where are we at here? Driving backward the night. Backward the lies. Get out of here, lies. Placed in the center, ray of potence, life-giving. So, yeah, some kind of energy that is just amazing. Placed there around at 2 and 30. Placed for each of the children of light. The children of light are 2 and 30. Each children of light. I do know that according to Jesus in Egypt, or no, Jesus in, what book was that? Oh man, if I knew, I could be a good video doer. Yeah. Jesus apparently had, or the stories of Jesus, I think, including Jesus, were about 32 gods, or something like that. So it's kind of interesting, because if they're 32 with the same basic Jesus story, that means that would be Thoth reincarnating over and over again, in theory. I'm just saying, I think of this, and I'm trying to think of this in almost not, some of this stuff is obviously literal and some not, like, okay. Light from Bill to Mount 32 were among the children, sons of light, who come upon men, seeking to free from bondage of darkness those who are bound by the force from beyond. Deep in the halls of life grew a flower, flaming, expanding, driving backward the night. Placed in the center, a ray of potence lit, life-giving, light-giving, filling with power, all came near it. Placed they around it thrones, 32 places for each of the children of light, placed so that they were bathed in the radiance. Radiation? Yeah, radiance. They say, I guess, is more radiation or something. It might be radioactive. Filled with the life from the eternal light. Now I'm starting to think light is not always truth now. Like I used to just, always think when they say light, it's truth. There, time after time, placed they their first created bodies, so that they might be filled with the Spirit of life. Spirit of life. They created the bodies. 100 years out of 1,000, out of each 1,000, 100 years out of each 1,000 must the life-giving light flame forth on their bodies. 100 years out of 1,000 must the life-giving light flame forth on their bodies. So that either means of our incarnations and stuff, like 100 years out of 1,000 is going to be our miserable years or something. No, that's not right. Quickening. Maybe if you don't have light on your bodies, it's 100 years out of 1,000 must you at least have light. What's that mean? You live once every 1,000 years. You live 100 years out of each 1,000 years, maybe. Ooh, that might have been something. That might not be right either, though. Oh, man. I feel like I'm off, but I'm not sure. Okay. Filled with the life from the internal light. There, time after time, placed they their first created bodies, so that they might be filled with the Spirit of life. 100 years out of each 1,000 must the life-giving light flame forth on their bodies. quickening, awakening the spirit of life. There in the circle from aeon to aeon sit the great masters, living a life not known among men. They're talking about the children of light. So the children of light come out once every 1,000 years, maybe. Living a life not known among men. No man except for them knows of such things. Basically, because the great masters understand, and from my understanding, they remember their past lives, and they have. And if you remember your past lives, that means you remember all your past lessons. That means you can probably be able to grow as a person, I would think. There in the halls of life they lie sleeping. Free flows their soul through the bodies of men. Yeah, they just live. Yeah. Time after time while their bodies lie sleeping, incarnate they in the bodies of men. So if they're not actually, they're always incarnating in other people, apparently, if they're ever sleeping. If they're not, then, well, who knows? Then I guess, yeah. Time after time, while their bodies lay sleeping, incarnate they in the bodies of men, teaching and guiding onward and upward, out of the darkness into the light. So that they're meant, and they, most of them hopefully are good intentioned and try to teach people like the way to get higher in life, and they're probably doing it all kind of different ways in different sequences and stuff like that. Because if you stick with one religion maybe for so long, then I don't know, maybe it gets dull or something. I don't know, but onward and upward, out of the darkness into the light, into the truth. Maybe that's that. There in the halls of life, filled with their wisdom, not known to the races of man, living forever neath the cold fire of life, sit the children of light, near the cold fire of life. See, that's weird. Near the cold fire of life. Like there's a cold fire. I mean, there's hot ice, right? No. Sit the children of light. Obviously, if they're in the hall of life, filled with their wisdom, known not to races of man, living forever neath the cold fire of life. If it was like cold or fire or something like that, that's something to go back to, I think. Sit the children of light. Times there are when they awaken, come from the depths to be lights among men, infinite they among finite men. They're obviously infinite and all that stuff. Feel free to comment anytime that you feel I missed something in translation, or like you have your own opinion, because it's very interesting, because there's so many ways to take this stuff. So sit the children of light. Times there are when they are awakened, come from the depths to be lights among men, infinite they among finite men. He who by progress has grown from the darkness, lifted himself from night into light, Free is he made of the halls of Amate, free of the flower of light and of life. Guided he then by wisdom and knowledge, passes from men to the master of life. Guided he then by wisdom and knowledge, passes from men to the master of life. So basically master of life, enlightened, there he dwell as one with the masters, free from the bonds of the darkness of night. There he may dwell as one of the masters, free from the bonds of the darkness of life, free from the bondage of the darkness of night. And what's interesting about this too, if these are the correct translations and everything into English, some of it kind of almost rhymes. It's just like a poetry kind of thing too. So a guided person with wisdom and knowledge, they'll pass from men to the master of life. There he may dwell as one of the masters. Because, he mastered life basically. Free from the bonds of the darkness of night, of lies, and from the lies of lies. I don't know. Seated within the flower of radiance sit 7. Okay, this... Okie dokie. Lords, okay. Seated within the flower of radiance sit 7. Lords from the space. Times above us, helping and guiding through infinite wisdom. The pathway through time of the children of men. Mighty and strange, they veiled with their power. Veiled? Lords from the space, times above us, helping and guiding, infinite wisdom. Time above us. So the lords from the space are the ones that guide us for things that are cool or something like that help our